in terms of the SDU machine. The thing is, that's the only question they could ask that they knew wouldn't compromise their use of the NetApp machine, or they figured wouldn't compromise their use of the NetApp machine. Going into computer security to them was a can of worms, so they I think deliberately kept the question to the Secret Service really narrow.
Yeah, I'd like to know if, you know, I mean, personally, I think open source is bullshit for voting machines or for voting computers, because, you know, I can't take my laptop into the voting booth to check if the open source is still correct.
There's no point in having open source if you can't verify that it's running on the particular machine that you're voting in front of. Yeah, this is true.
But I don't want, you know, your opinion whether, you know, I mean, I think you should have pen and papers and nothing more. No crypto stuff, no nothing, you know. Pen, paper, and that's it.
Well, the thing is, this is true for, in my opinion, this is true for what happens in the polling station. But it's not necessarily true for once the results are published. If you have the results per polling station and if they are openly available, then by all means, let's have software to verify that the addition is right. Also, I'm not sure I am completely against any use of computers in the polling station. I can envision, there's countries that have really complex elections, where there's like all these citizen initiatives, like in Switzerland, or where they're voting for the city dog catcher and the sheriff and who knows what. And there's countries that have really complex, hairy elections. And computers as a disambiguation tool, as an aid to creating a piece of paper which is then counted. For all I'm concerned, it could be counted automatically, or even sorted automatically, so it's easy to count. I can see all sorts of ways where technology can still help us. I'm not in no way fundamentalist about the issue.
My comment is that Diebold is actually publishing job ads right now, so if anyone is looking for a job in the voting environment.
Oh yes, by all means,
Germany.
Let's, anybody that has the option of infiltrating a voting... Make sure you get the documents out without getting caught. Make sure they're not marked. Make sure there's no fingerprints, use Tor. But if you have the option of infiltrating somewhere where they write black box voting equipment, by all means do.
I wanted to say that I think you have it absolutely right that the situation in the United States is quite nightmarish. I've been having nightmares about it for a while now. If you could briefly speak, what do you think the best steps that could be taken there to take Diebold down and get this issue off of our backs?
Thermonuclear weapons. To get the issue off of our backs, I think we have to raise awareness, which is happening globally already. This issue is, it was nowhere 1 year ago. It was a fringe issue that nobody knew about 12 months ago. It's now a major issue in many, many, many countries. Many people know about it, it's in cartoons, it's all over the papers, and that's only going to increase. So I think, well, not just thanks to me, thanks to a lot of people actually. And the situation in the US is actually helping. It's actually being very helpful in getting these issues out there because you actually have dirty elections. Whereas, so thank you.
I was just curious why you cancelled the court case instead of postponing it to after the elections.
Because we couldn't win. If we had, chances were we would have lost. Not because we felt we had a bad case, but because judges end up being pragmatic when constitutional crisis is a word. Judges become very...
if you do it now...
let me finish. We felt...
Sorry.
And if you lose a case, in the eyes of the public it means you had no case, because otherwise you would have won your case. It's very hard to convey that the strategy for pursuing a case is different than political strategy. And that you may lose although you were right, or that you may... getting these things across to the public is very, very hard. So having lost the case would have really set us back. We had lost the SDU new vote, which had never been tested by anybody for security, which was a really strong point. I'm honest enough to say that that was really a reason, was really good on their part, as we had lost an important point in our case, in our lawsuit. Also, had we won, the country really would have gone into chaos.
No, if you won before the elections.
Sorry?
If you won before the elections, but if you win when there are years before the next election, there is time enough not to have chaos.
Well, right now, I first want to see what comes out of this commission, because I feel that going really adversarial right now, really going with the hammer, isn't all that necessary, because I think they've gotten the point. If we all become convinced that they didn't, or that they're trying to get rid of us without giving us any changes, then of course that changes. But for now, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt in terms of this commission. So I first want to see what comes out of that.
I was just going to add an extra reply on the situation in the United States. I work for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and we've actually had some promising successes in fighting the crazy situation in the United States. One big victory is we managed to get a debug machine and get it to some computer security researchers at Princeton. Ed Felton managed to write a virus for this debug machine, and then Fox News showed the virus on primetime television. So that's making progress. There's also a lawsuit going on at the moment in Florida. There was one county where the numbers that came out looked extremely suspicious, and that may have been due to fraud in the machines, or it may have just been due to confusing graphics on the voting screens. But there's a lawsuit going on there at the moment, and maybe there'll be a rerun of the election in that county. So we'll talk more about this tomorrow or the day after in the EFF session.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, you wrote that the Commission will report by September 2007.
The Commission, yes.
Isn't that far too much time?
Far too much time? This is a government commission. I don't expect to see us having a completely new voting system anytime before 2010. Just because that's the speed of change in government. If you change a core process, the way government is organized, it's just not going to happen next year. I'm fairly realistic about that. It needs to change faster. I would love it to change faster. I'm just not holding my breath. I'm not expecting it any faster.
And is it guaranteed that people from your group will be inside that commission?
No, we explicitly said we did not want to be in the commission. They were probing to see if we were going for the commission. The thing is, this commission is independent, meaning that anybody in that commission that has had a point of view before the commission started doing its research is suspect. And the commission would then have to do interviews with the field. And the field would have us missing from it because we were in the commission.
And how the two experts will be selected?
I have no clue. This is at the discretion of the Interior Ministry, of the Minister and of the chairman of the Commission.
So this means that it is not impartial if the government chooses who will be there.
Well, it's not made out of. It's not built out of part. It's not built out of people that are there representing anybody. It's built out of people representing themselves. That's what they call an independent government commission. The thing is, I think they want to fix the problem, and they want to fix it by giving us elections that are verifiable. Because they know that the headache is going to come back and come back. I think we've actually convinced them that this is true. That the amount of headache that they've just had. If you want to convince any government in Germany, Austria, or wherever you're from, convince any government in the next year, they can call the Interior Ministry in Holland and just ask anybody, including the janitor, whether getting voting machines is a good idea, and they'll get the right answer. So I think they actually want to fix the problem, so I think our interests actually align.
I've got a question that isn't directly related to what you do, but the way how you do it, if that's okay.
Sure.
The thing is something that we've all experienced, the problem of the blind followers, as you created that will blindly believe anything you say to them. Do you have any advice on how to get rid of those without too much fallout?
Without too much fallout. We basically put a couple of questions in the FAQ, basically saying, I deal with conspiracies a lot, and I believe the aliens are controlling my brain via satellite, and everything was a Mossad plot, and can I help you guys? And the answer is no. Go away. I think you have to be fairly serious about what you're doing, and you have to be serious about the fact that you're campaigning. And this is not about giving everybody the opportunity to campaign alongside you no matter how crazy they are. This isn't an equal opportunity children's workshop. This is serious campaigning, and you're facing people that will use the presence of these people to say that you're just a bunch of crazies. So, yeah, and that's a point, that's an argument that you can get across. I've actually, people have called me, and I told them this on the phone. Look, the fact that you operate a website, because the Vapor Trail thing was actually somebody that called me, who had a major website that he put us on that was also very much about these vapor trails. And I said, look, you have a website that deals with a government conspiracy to sedate us all with chemicals from commercial airliners. That doesn't do well for our campaign, and you could be the nicest person on earth, but no thanks, bye.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that being a poll worker isn't quite attractive, and I'm from Austria, and we had national elections in October, and I was looking into all the rules and laws regarding poll workers, and it was quite interesting to find out that all you need to become a poll worker in Austria is that you need your primary registered place of residence in Austria. So you can be an immigrant or whatever. Mm-hmm. All you need is your primary residence in Austria. That's so much on the poll worker issue. One more comment that well is quite positive. That is that a spokesperson of the Ministry of the Interior in Austria said that electronic voting is not going to happen, and that was very nice to know. So
smart move.
Yeah, I thought so too.
5 minutes, okay.
Hi Rob, just a quick comment about USA. Also, Alameda County in California, the average age of the poll workers actually like 65 plus in last November. And the electronic voting machines in Alameda County were also not allowed to be used because they had no paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
I have only a small mark because you told about different voting system. We have at university a seminar, and we have a look at the different voting system, and we find out that if the voting system is more complex, they have less problems with unsolved or don't verified votes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's no reason to say...
Voting systems need to be very simple. They need to be... people in Azerbaijan, people in other countries, where was it? Azerbaijan was the one, and Ukraine was the other. People actually went to the polling stations to see what was happening to their ballots, to actually watch the fraud happen, to watch government take away their ballots and replace them by other ones. If you have a paper system that is really simple, that anyone can understand, you can force your government to do the fraud in front of your very eyes. In this case, it was the government coming in and taking the ballot boxes at gunpoint because there had been a terrorist threat, and the ballot boxes needed to be protected. But you can only do that if you can muster up thousands of people that understand how the process works, which in my mind rules out any cryptographic system, technical system, because I could never get a couple thousand people to monitor the security parameters of a system that I couldn't teach them to understand in an hour.